Hello there. Last night I watched on YouTube again because I do like some of the old films. I watched Basil Rathbone and Nigel Bruce in The Hound of the Baskervilles, Sherlock Holmes story. It was very entertaining. A nice little watch, because I go to bed and lay in bed, and rather than keep flicking through YouTube and getting depressed looking at all the different political things that they have up there, I thought I'll go for some of these little freebie films they have. And I mean, I like Sherlock Holmes, and they've got all of the Basil Rathbone and Nigel Bruce stories. The trouble is, some of them they're set in the Second World War, and then other ones they're set in the 1890s and 1880s, which I think that the Hound of the Baskervilles was. So I rather like that because that was more in tune with the real Sherlock Holmes thing. And it was a good story. I mean, everyone sort of knows the Hound of the Baskervilles because there's been so many versions of that particular story made. It was one of the four novels, full-length novels that Sir Arthur Conan Doyle did. Most of his stories were short sort of stories, weren't they? Episodic, And I think they were in magazines. I don't know, it was the Strand magazine or some equivalent of. And there was a lot of really good stories, but I enjoyed the Basil Rathbone and Nigel Bruce stories when I was a kid. And this Hound of the Baskervilles was very good. It was very atmospheric and very well done. And it had that old style. And I obviously can't say who the killer or everything was at the end. It did end a little bit up in the air compared to some of the stories that I remember watching. It sort of ended on a the murderer won't get far note. But I seem to remember that in other stories it didn't quite end up in the air in that way. But it was enjoyable, and Basil Rathbone and Nigel Bruce played a good part, and a very young Richard Green played the I forget I can't even remember what the man's name was now. The character that he played was the owner of the new owner of this Baskerville Manor. The Lord Baskerville or so, whatever his name was, but he'd come over from Canada to take his inheritance after the last lord had been killed by one of the Hound of the Baskervilles. And Sherlock Holmes and Nigel Bruce turn up to try and solve the mystery because they fear that the new Richard Green character, the new lord of the manor, is going to meet his untimely demise as well. Everything gets sorted out in the end, but again, if you like some of the old films, the Basil Rathbone and Nigel Bruce freebie on YouTube, Hound of the Baskervilles, is well worth watching. I watched it in black and white, but it's also good to know that there are colour versions of these films now. I think they've been digitalised, computer digitalised and made into colour versions, and they're also freebies. I didn't realise that you could get the colour version until I'd watched the black and white version, and I was strolling through afterwards and found it. But if you want to watch a good sort of whodunit, watch the old 1939 Hound of the Baskervilles with Basil Rathbone and Nigel Bruce as Dr. Watson. Good old watch. Enjoy yourself. Keep happy.